All right, so I have everything ready to do the large book sleeves. Now the large book sleeves are gonna be around 9 by 11. They're cut a little bit wider and longer than that because of seam allowances. What I decided to do with these, so this fabric, this is for my Halloween collection. So we can, fairy core collection. So this one, I'm starting with these and we'll go through the collection. I just got in this beautiful piece right here. So I'll be making book sleeves from these beautiful cats as well. Now and I don't have hardly any fabric. So I can make 8, but I made 1 here for my granddaughter for her birthday. So out of 2 yards, I was able to make 8 of these with not using this as the interior. So you need 2 pieces for each bag of your outer fabric. And then you need 2 pieces each of your lining. So my lining I have used from Michael's, and it is a black broadcloth. And I have got it for $1.89 a yard if I bought the whole bolt, and that's online. I already ironed the interfacing on each one of the pieces I need. Now, a lot of people don't use the interfacing on their linings, but I just feel like if somebody wanted to put their Kindle or their iPad Pro or their phone or something in there, I just thought giving it just a little bit more cushion would be better. So I already did these. I ironed all of these on. But on this one here, I'm using foam. I'm not quilting these. I did quilt this one here, and you can't even tell. So if you look closely at this, you can see. If you look really closely, you can tell I quilted it. The only way you would have been able to tell, probably if I did white, but then that would break the webs and that wouldn't look good. Here's the other side, it's quilted and you can hardly tell. So I figured for this pattern, I'm not quilting. So for this pattern, I'm using foam. So this is a foam that you can buy. I bought this one from Amazon. I just found it on Michael's, so I'll probably buy it there because I have a $40 off voucher from my rewards. So I could probably buy 2 of those for that. But you can get this from Amazon. And I'll link it below in my video description area. So each part, you need 2 of these for your outers, right? So then you're gonna need 2 foams. So I have enough here to make 7 book sleeves. Then this is all I have left over is like very little left. This would make a beautiful tie if I wanted to do like a tie or something like that, but I'm not gonna make ties for these ones. I'm gonna close them with snaps and a combination of snaps and then with the button and the elastic. I like the button and elastic better. Some people don't like any closure at all, but I just figured you don't have to close it. So like, let's say you didn't want to close it, which is probably me. You could just carry it like this. It's fine, right? There's the book inside. So that would work just fine. So I have that. So then I am also going to be adding a pocket, and I messed up so bad on my pockets. So for my pockets, I took the leftover fabrics that was available from that 2 yards, and I see it's just shy of making more sleeves, but I wanted to make the pockets. I made a huge mistake and I didn't cut them on the folds. So now what I'm going to have to do, so what happens if you cut them on the fold, it goes a lot faster. So you cut them on the fold like this. Let me just show you, and we'll pretend so you can see it. I'm going to pretend this is the outside. So let's say you're adding a pocket. So what you would do is you would fold this like this, iron that down, and then you would put your pocket here, and you see how you can, and then you're going to put your other piece, pretend this is your right sides together, right? And then you're going to sew. You see how you're going to sew? So that way your pocket, and you would top stitch this, but it has pocket on both sides. I messed up so bad and I don't have any more of the fabric. So what I'm going to do, so for mine, I cut it the exact height that I want, which is right here with a little bit of seam allowance. So now what I'm going to have to do is I am going to just take this and sew it in. I'm going to hem that in. I'm going to press that. This is going to take like forever. So dumb that I didn't think about that. And fold it over again, press that again. And then I'm just going to put it on. Let's do it the correct way so you can see. what that would look like. So then it would be like this. So the only problem with this is going to be that when you open the pocket, what you can't see is you're going to have this inside. Now I could line it, but I don't want to take the time to do that. So I think this is fine. So we're just going to, unless, well, it's supposed to be doubled. So you know what? I may need to go ahead and just create pockets with but it's against this. I think we're fine. I think we're going to be fine. I don't want it to get too bulky. All right, so I think I'm going to do that. So that's what's next. I'm going to have to get over there. I will do these next because the pockets have to be clipped on here. And then the next thing is to clip on not on the front, but on the back, because the button's going to go here. Unless I see a lot of people doing it this way, where your button is here and the pocket is in the back. I think the pocket should be in the front for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why people are making them that way. If you know, let me know in the comments. But I would rather have the pocket here and the button there. And so I'd have the button there. And so that means on my back piece, on the back piece is where I need to put my elastic band. So that's what I'm going to do next. But first, I'm not going to film me ironing pressing these hems in, because that would be very redundant. So that's what I'm going to start with now, and then we'll get back and do the pinning. All right, so I decided as I was starting to do those, as I was ironing the pockets, I decided to use, I got this from Hobby Lobby when I was there. I should have gotten a lot more, or actually, this is a really nice ribbon. So I went ahead and did this on the back. So I just added like a seam binding to the back, to the seams there. And then I came to the other side. So I first stitched really close to where my fold was so that it wouldn't lose enough of the pocket length. I was afraid that if I started to do that, it would just get too bulky. And so then I decided I would take the ribbon. And so I sewed it close to the ribbon and very close. I don't know, see if you can see that. It's hard because the black thread on the black, and close to where I had my fold. So I made just a small fold, probably 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit bigger. And then I turned the fabric around, and then I used my laser light. I'll link that below. It's a lifesaver. I used my laser light to put, since it's black, I can't see it, to put it on that first black stitching line. And then I top stitched the second line about, what is that? About 1/2 inch in, maybe 5/8. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so whatever it was, I just did that. So now there's a top stitch there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and first clip all the pockets to one of these. So we need that 7 times. So I'm going to, and I started with a really thin. What I did was I started with, this is really pretty, right? And I started with this really thin one. Can you see that, how thin that is? I don't know, it's hard to see. And that was just too time consuming. I had to be too careful about where I was stitching it. So that's why I went with the wider ribbon, because it's a much easier way to do a seam binding. Gives me more give. Plus I think that as you're opening the pocket, it's just going to give it a little bit more sturdiness. Okay, so now I'm going to take each one of these, one piece of the outer fabric, one piece of the foam. I'm going to make sure, I already lay them, but I'm going to double check, make sure that these are hand pressed like that. Make sure they're not, they might be a little crooked, but we can trim them later. But we want to try to fit it as square as possible. Yeah, there, that looks good for that piece. So then I'm just going to take a piece and lay it right on top of the wrong side to the right side. See that? So there is going to have to be a little bit, see there on the pockets, there's a tiny bit of a give right. So short, well, actually it's not, it's the bigger one that's, I'm wondering if I need to square each one of these up. I might need how to take each one of these and square them up. Get rid of any, let's see here. If I went like this, square it on the side. That looks really good though. I thought, you know, I made sure might be just here, just a tiny, but nope, that's good too. Seems to be really good. Let's bring this down here. Yeah, this one seems good. So it might be the foam that's not squared up. Yep, it's the foam. So foam was harder to cut. So yeah, you can see where it's okay. So maybe we just need to trim these foam pieces to be just a tiny bit, but then it's hard. No, you know what? We're going to go ahead and leave them and then trim them out. Otherwise, we're going to keep getting smaller and smaller, and then I'll have to cut the fabric, and then, you know, it's just going to keep going. It's going to be a never-ending batter to try to make it perfect. So let's just do it this way. All right. So we're going to take our, make sure it's straight here, which is hard to tell with the, it's better to have it crooked down here than where the pocket's gonna be. So it's just kind of hard. So I think I'm gonna have to take a ruler. Actually, I might want to just take my square. I'd rather use my square. So if I use my square, I can make sure that I'm gonna get this about where, let's see how high this goes up. Let's figure out how high so it goes to, let's make it move to this line right there. So we want to square it with that line. So what I'm going to do is take my square, go across there and across there. Make sure this is lined up. Now we have a square. So now I'm just going to take this and lay this right on top. And then what I'm going to do is take my clips, and down here at the bottom, I'm going to clip this right here at this first one so it doesn't go anywhere. And because I can slide that little guy out, I am going to put another one right here and another one right here. Probably put one more right there before we move that guy out of the way. Yep. So that way, now I can move this out of the way and we have it all lined up there, square. It's quite a big seam allowance here. I'm gonna have to cut for the pocket, unfortunately. So the one thing with the homemade products is you're never gonna have the exact size, right? Like than you had before. So we're gonna have to check, and we might have to come in here. This side is fine. Now the problem here is you don't wanna have to keep sewing and sewing. So you wanna lay everything on top and sew already. So here might have to clip this right here because it's not going to, yeah, I'm just gonna have to clip this just a little, take off this excess right here because I'm not gonna be able to, it's not gonna, I'm gonna miss, you know, like when you're sewing your seams, if there's too much hangover, what's gonna happen is you're gonna miss the seams and then you have to, after when you turn it, that's a pain in the butt. Put some on this side for right now. We're going to take these off and put them back on, but first you're going to go through and do all the pockets. After we do all the pockets, then what I'm going to do is we're going to take the back, and the back piece here, we are going to take one of our elastics, and the button goes on last, by the way. And when you use, if you're using the thick, nice hair ties, most hair ties have a place where the company, the manufacturer connected and so you'll see some glue there. What you want is you want that to be inside the seam for strength so that this side is this could break open over time. So you want this side here to be the part that sticks out. This is gonna go inside the seams for strength. So, and we want a good enough, long enough on the outside, but you also want to have some of this on the inside. And if it ever breaks open, you just add a new one. It's not that difficult. So, but here you're going to want to, this is going to go in the inside there after it's done. So here you want to have them as squishy as you can. These are hard to pin. And usually I just give up. And so I just went to my clips and just, first we have to make sure we're in the middle. So we're going to take this and we're going to fold it in half, okay? And actually, let's just take the fabric. Fold it in half. Let's show you a little trick here, so tip. press seam that really good right there. Take your scissors and just notch it just a teeny tiny bit so that when you open it, you can see where I notched it. So we know that that's the middle. So that's where we want this to hang out. So we're gonna, again, we've got to move it around. This little part always wants to come to the front and we want it in the back. So we're gonna squish this like this as best we can. And then I'm just gonna put it over there like about, I think usually it's 2/3 on the outside and 1/3 on the inside is good enough for strength and also for the length that you need to, for the book, plus the pins just don't work. So I'm gonna use clips right here and just clip that. And then we can, as we go to sew it, we can place it a little bit better. But the reason we wanna do that is we are going to sew these a different way than the usual tote bag way. So now we're gonna do that for those, right? Then what we're going to do is we are going to take we're gonna take these guys and these are going to go right side to right side and the right side to the right side like this. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to clip here. Let some less, we can trim all that off. To, again, just make it stronger right there on either side of that guy. And then we're going to, here, I want to trim that just a tiny bit. I don't like the way that's sticking out like that. There. All right. Now, just don't want to miss it when I'm sewing. All right. So what we're going to do now is with each one of these, first we're going to get each one of these ready. So you have like an assembly line if you're going to make a lot of these. So the first thing I would do is I'm going to go through and do all of the pockets, get all those in place. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and get all of the elastics in place, plus put one piece of lining over with the right sides together, because this is going to go in like that. Then you're going to take this one here and then you're going to pin this up here for your tops there. After we do all of that, and those are already like in an assembly line, then we're going to take these all and we're going to sew them. This one's going to need to really be trimmed. This is like really off. Yeah. So then what we're going to do is we're going to come through and sew all of these. Let me trim this right now. It's bugging me. So then we're going to go through and sew all the tops of every single one. Then we're going to come back, we turn that over and connect it to the other pieces and sew those. I'll show you when we get to that part. This is another tool. By the way, I get these at Harbor Freight and the Dollar Tree. So they're perfect because they're like a weight. I love using them in sewing. Even though they're made, I have them for my remodeling company as well, but I love this shower handle. It's so cool. So now what we want to do is I want to make sure this lines up here. We got to get rid of some of that. That's just too much there. There we go. Oops. That's good enough. Let's see if that's going to fit better on top of this guy. Oh yeah, that's much better. All right, let me just trim this guy with my scissors. I miss a lot with my rotary cutters. And I tried so many of them. So now we see down here at the bottom where a lot of this should also get trimmed because it's gonna not match up. So we should just make that straight there. Yeah, I think I'm just going to, I know some of it is because of the, let me see how bad it is if we put it straight on. Yeah, it's just too much. But this I can't really do with the razor because or rotary cutter, I mean, foam under there. And that should work. I should be able to, yeah, that'll work. All right. The machine can help make all of that straighter. So then we're just gonna clip these at the top. Just meet up there. So then what we're going to do is, yeah, I think I'll trim that just a tiny bit more before I go over to the machine, yeah. So then after all these are done, making 7 book sleeves out of this. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna have 14 of these to sew, right? So 1 top and 1 back, or 1 front and 1 back. So we're gonna do that, and we'll go over to the sewing machine and we'll start doing that. And then after that, we'll come back for the next step. Okay, so I decided I had to make one because I haven't made one in the foam. So instead of doing the assembly, took me a lot longer. I didn't want to do it this way. It did turn out really good, but let me tell you all the problems first. So I'm glad that I decided to do one first, because right before I started sewing it, I realized that I didn't have my labels in it anywhere. I hadn't planned for them. So I first thought about putting my label there, but you can't because the button's gonna be there. So then I thought about putting the label down here. So then I thought, well, I'll sew it in and have it come like this. Now when it's flat, when I was thinking of it, I saw it and it looked like this, right? And I thought, okay, well, I'll sew that in there, and then that way I'll just sew around. So I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. Then when I did it, it didn't look like that at all. What happened was it was in here, right? And then it was like this. And because of the books and stuff, I don't know if you can tell, it's like bent. So it looked really dumb. And so I had to take all the stitching out. I had to take it all out and everything. And then I'm like having a dilemma. Thought I could put it here though. And I'm still thinking about that. But then I thought I would almost have to hand stitch this because it's so hard to get it in the center. I don't know how people do it before they sew the whole thing together. Because if I'm going here, there's my center. And I could probably do that and it kind of will show. But then I was worried, let's use a pin and see what happened. Oh, actually just a clip. That way I don't have to pin through the label. But let's just say that was the label, right? Then what's going to happen is, I mean, that actually looks kind of good. But I'm thinking it stands out too much from the black design since it's a off-white color label. And I only have this, and then I only have white. And the white ribbon, let me get that. I have the cross-grain ribbon here. That could go instead of that. Let me see. If we take this, I like this. This is this kind of ribbon. I learned this from a lady on YouTube that taught us. Her name is her channel is like something about rooster. I don't know, but I'll link it below. I've linked it in some of my other videos. But this is a cross-grain ribbon, and this one's super nice. And I think I couldn't find this anywhere except for on Amazon. So I'll link that below too. But that's really pretty. And then what I do is I use the no-sew temporary glue to glue this down. And so then that'll just wash away, but people aren't probably not going to wash these, so it doesn't really matter. So this is the other ribbon. So if I took a piece, let's do this follia here, and made my logo smaller, and then made my logo smaller, this white might look a little bit better. Or do you think it stands? No, I think it stands out too much. I really would love to have my labels on the front of my bags because for branding, you know, and for so many other, and everybody puts their, like when you buy an expensive bag, almost always there's a label somewhere. Well, all the designer ones that I see online and that I buy from my friends and stuff, and the labels are like right there. So, or they're right here, or they're right here, or they're right, you know. So anyway, what I ended up doing, I don't think I like that so much because then you'd have to, let me see something. You'd have to, because this one, I'd have to use the fray checker, which is what I do. But I would want to turn these in. And again, use the glue so that there's, or the fray check. Well, no, I wouldn't need to use the fray check if that's the case. And then have it look smaller like that. It just pops, like, I don't know. It just pops too much. So anyway, what I did with this one, so then let me take the book out, is I sewed it inside. So what I did, see, so I took it and I glued it in first because the bag was already made. And once the bag's made, it's really hard to keep things like straight. Plus, I thought this was cool because now, not only do I backstitch here and backstitch there, this elastic band is in there super good now because I also encased it inside the thing. So on the back side, you can't see it, but I sewed all the way through because I don't know, like if I took I'm just afraid that if I took this and sewed it here, I could. Maybe I'll try that with another bag. Sew it just on the lining. What do you think? Sew it just on the lining, making sure so that even if it goes down, well, actually, we can see how high. Yeah, maybe now that I have one already done, just add the seam allowance and then measure down. However, that looks like about a half an inch, right? 5/8 of an inch. Measure down and then lay it right on this. That's what I think I'll do next time. So that way, but obviously that's not going to make the elastic band stronger. But I'm thinking it's probably not that big of a deal. Anyway, it turned out so nice. So here's the pocket. And the foam, the other thing is, okay, so let's do this. So I have this book, which is let me just use my tape measure because it's faster. This is 6 1/4 by 9 1/2, and then it's an inch thick. So this one goes in here. Just look at that slide, so nice. Oh, I love it. I love how that, let me lift up I don't think it'll lift up a little bit more. I was hoping the camera would lift up. Maybe that's better, right? So I actually love this. Now I'm kind of missing not having my label right there. Anyway, this book fits so perfectly in here, but it's not quite the same size that I made when I quilted. So I realized that when you're using the foam, okay, when you're using the foam for closures, you got to add more. So with quilting, we add about a half an inch on each side. But this ended up being, instead of the 9, it ended up being 8. So it's lost an inch by using the foam. And that's probably because of it going thick like this. So it kind of like doesn't quite stand up like as if you had boxed bottoms. But see how it just is so stiff. So that's really nice because that adds nice padding. You can use it for your Kindles as well. And then if we went this way, it's still at the 11. So I'm assuming that it's the sides that are making it. But there's nothing I can do because I already cut them all out. So they're going to be 8 by 11s instead of 9 by 11s. So it's kind of in between a medium and a large. So then I have a paperback book. This book is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and then the thickness is probably about a half an inch. It's about 3/4 of an inch. So this one will fit in really perfect. Okay, so that works really good. And then my gratitude journal. So if you use cardback journals, so this one is a lot. This has a lot of pages in it. So this one slips right in there. It's really nice. And there's still like a lot of room. So if you had a taller book, that's fine. And then I do my dot journaling. So I just grabbed an old dot journal that I had to see how fat it gets as I add stuff to it. Let me see if the fatness goes in there. Yep. And that goes in there really nice. Yeah. And that's perfect. So it's perfect for journals. So this one and this one, we have to measure on this side because this is pretty thick. This is 1, and I got glue on my fingers. 1, and it's more than 1 1/2. It's a little bit more than 1 1/2 inch width. So I love these. I am going to put my profit first. If you haven't read this book, super good if you have a small business. I'm going to put this one in here for now so that I can take pictures. I'm going to go through and do the buttons very last. So, because those I do by hand. So I'm going to put those in all last. But let me know what you think about my label being in the back. Should I try to just put it in the lining, or does it matter that it's going on a little square out here. Does that matter? Or like nobody looks back there really, you know, but if they do, I don't see how, it's just spiders. So it's hard, like different fabrics, it would obviously make a difference. But with this fabric, now when I do the cats, which I'm going to do next with these cats, those, you're going to see the stitches more. So yeah, I'm thinking I better just learn how to get good at, do you think so? I'm thinking I have to get good at figuring out where exactly to put it on the lining first so that it doesn't go to the other side. So I have to work on that. And that's one of the reasons why I just said to myself, you know what, you know, you make all your mistakes when you're first trying to create a pattern for your project. But I want to tell you, I love the way the corners came out, and I just used a chopstick, by the way, to poke them. But what I love the most about it is it's so, I was worried. I told you I was worried about using the foam because with the foam, I thought, that looks so tacky, you know, but it's not. It's actually nicer it's much sturdier than the quilted. Let me grab my other quilted ones. Here's a quilted one. And it's nowhere near, I mean, it's nice because it's soft and everything, but it's nowhere near as stiff. And for me, the stiffness means protection, okay? So like, especially if you're going to use it for your Kindle or something like that, right? And I think this foam, especially in the rain, it's going to hold up more in the weather, right? Whereas this will get wet through it really easily. But I like the quilted ones too, but I'm surprised. When I watched people on YouTube making these, I thought, ew, I don't think I like that. I love these. They are so nice and they feel so expensive. Like, you know, these don't feel as expensive, to tell you the truth. And these look luxurious. And I can make them. What's really great about the foam is you don't have to have the closures with these. With these, you almost have to because of the quilting is too flimsy, even when you're using, because I used batting. I did not use, I used batting plus I used interfacing, and still, I think you really need closures for the quilted ones, but this is why people make them and don't even have the closure. A lot of people don't like the closures because if this is pretend that's the way, look, it's just, you don't need it. It's just so perfect. So anyway, I'm really excited about these ones. Yeah, so I can't do the assembly thing until I figure out the label, unfortunately. Now, the good news is that I have a ton more to make of these because this collection will be the spiderwebs, which I will have 7 of them. If I start to sell them and there's enough time before Halloween and people special order them, then they could special order them and I could order the fabric if they still have it. Like, they didn't have it last time I checked, but another time they did have some more. So they just sent me a notice that they had some more in. So I might be able to get more of that to make more. These, I have to see how well they sell again. And if I can get the fabric in time, I could make more of these. I believe I have 3 yards of these. And if we know we can make 8 out of 2 yards, I can make 12. So that would be the big for that collection. And then I have the bats. So the bats I can make more of. I believe I can't remember how many yards I have of the bats. I think I might have, let's see. Oh yeah, I have 5 yards here, 6, 7, 8 yards. So there can be a lot of bats. And then I have 5 yards of the skeletons. So if we figure 2 yards for 8, so that means 4 per yard. So if I have 5 yards, I can make 20 of them. That's might be without pockets. No, I have pockets. So I can do the pockets with the same amount of fabric. This is so adorable. See this one? I did. It's so cute. And then I have the purple one, the purple witches. I don't have very much of those. First, I've got the black witches, which I'm going to have a lot less now because I use this as lining inside of the purple bags that I already made. That was before I received the Michael's that I want, the broadcloth that I wanted. And then I have the witches, and I don't know how popular this is going to be, so I'm not going to buy any more. But I think they turned out really cute. I have for those, I would make just like probably all the same size. This is a larger one. This was a different pattern that I tried, and it's for people who want to put their books in sideways. But a lot of feedback that I get, and this is quilted, that they don't like that so much. They'd rather have the book go in the other way. But this is the black quilted one, and this was with white thread quilted. So I just wanted to see the difference. But, and this is a smaller, this is like a medium, and this is like large. Will fit your Bible and stuff like that. But you see how I put in the other fabrics there? So that's kind of a waste of fabric. So the lining, actually, I think it looks a lot better with the black. It's just much more high end looking. So that's that one, this one here. Yeah, so this one here, how much did I buy? I bought like 3 yards, I think. So I can probably make 15 or something, I don't know, 12. Anyway, I got to get busy and make all these. All right, so I'm going to work on that label once that's down. But in the meantime, I think what I'm going to do, let me put this stuff away. So this has all been washed. So I already know I can start on all these, but I just got the skeletons in, so I still have to wash this. And this is a new order of the bats, which I still have to wash. And I have to wash the cats. This one here is already washed. And then these are the cats. I'm thinking, because for the bookish niche, I'm just thinking just doing book sleeves, because tote bags would be great, but they take a lot more work, and it's not really a thing, I don't think, for Halloween. The ones that you want to buy are like trick-or-treat bags, which are way cheaper than what we sell tote bags for. So I'm not thinking that niche that I have different shops with different audiences. And my fairy core niche, which is Everfay Designs. These have Valia designs. I'm just going to keep, so Valia is my handmade shop, and I'm not making a separate design for Everfay. It's kind of just the way that I'm separating the stores. So Everfay means mythical, Halloween, goth, stuff like that, right? And then Valia is handmade, vintage, boho, hippie, conservative more, right? So, but I'm still going to put, because Valia is my actual studio's name. So this is not just an Etsy shop kind of like username. So everything will have this that's handmade. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I think I really like this off-white better, even on the Halloween stuff rather than this. And I think I am just going to go with putting it in the inside for now. Maybe if I got something that has more white in it, like the bats, or I mean these witches, like this would look nice there, see? Yeah, that would look really pretty. But I just don't know where to put it on the outside. This could be the pocket, and then it could go like that. That would look nice. Anyway, I have to practice. It's not my strong point to do labels, by the way. I've struggled so hard with making labels and making it work and everything, and it's really tough. I'm almost giving up to just hire, just buy them on Etsy or something. But then again, the other part of me is like, I want to learn how to do it. I want to learn how to do it the way and have it the way I like. And then once I have it down, then I can order them from a company. There's a place called Online Labels that makes them. And there's other place. No, that place doesn't make it. But there are places that will make these in bulk. But of course, I don't want to do that until I know which one I want to use for sure, etc. So I think what I'm going to do now, obviously practice on that. But in the meantime, since I know, at least on these ones, I am not going to, here's the pocket. This one's ready to sew. So I'm going to start to sew all the ones that don't need, the side without the label, get those done, get those out of the way, and then start putting the little band, the elastic there, and put that on, and then start practicing with that label. And once I know where that label goes, I can just go through real quickly on these and do those. So that's the next step. I will be, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to make sure I can do that, and then we'll go to the sewing machine and we'll sew some of these. This label thing was really annoying me and killing me. So I was just like, so remember, like I just showed you, you can't see that I did that. And I really like how it was inside. Well, I showed it to some friends and I showed it to family members and everything. And as usual, they're like, well, what? Because I am a brand specialist. So one of the things that we do in one of my companies is help people with their branding. And they're like, well, what would you tell a customer? And I said, well, I would tell them to put it here on the pocket. That looks really nice, right? And I could do the pocket before I sew them on. Or you put it on the back. And then that way I can wait until after I've sewn the entire and sewn everything. Sew this last, and then that way this stitching is on the inside, which will just make everything stronger. So I think I'm gonna make some with the tag here in the back, because it's obvious you need to brand yourself. I really still like, and it's growing on me about liking this one here on the front as well. And so did everybody else that I asked. They all liked that as well. But they said if you think that's too in your face for a book, maybe people wouldn't buy it because of that. So then put it on the back. So I think I'm going to start with putting them on the back. Anyway, so then I was looking at and I know this is just a very simple one. So what I do, I just use these clips. I glue part of it in to make it straight. This should be done by now, yeah. And then, but I wanted to change I wanted the V to be bigger and the S to be bigger, and I want it to be thicker. So I created this one because I still wanted the handmade on it. The handmade's important to me. So now I have these, and let me just show you. That looks like when you print it. So because I have a Mac, it's easy. When I go to print and preview, it looks like this on the computer, and I just click a button under my print settings that says flip it or whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called, reverse it or something. So then it takes this document and turns it into this document. So that way, and this is the transfer paper. So that way I can take that and put it on this ribbon here, which I really like to use this ribbon. And I was using cotton before, white. A lot of people use just the white cotton, but it was too thin and the transfers just didn't look so great. So I learned this from, I'll mark her, I told you that in my last segment, but I'll link to her video channel. So I ended up, it's the next day now. So yeah, I got too tired yesterday trying to figure all this out. But then it just took me so freaking long to work on this because it's just not, I guess it's just not my thing. So that's why eventually I'll probably just order my tags made already, just because I run 3 companies and this is not the highest and best use of my time. But I still wanted to learn how to do it, especially if you guys want me to do a video on how to do it. And I will tell you, I get very frustrated with Canva. And so I'll start in Canva and then I move it all to Pages in my Mac, which is much easier to work with. And I get my sizes much better. So that's kind of what I did. So now what I'm going to do, and so now we're back to that part, but I couldn't move on in case I was going to put them, because we didn't know, remember, where we're going to put them. So now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to start sewing all of these pieces at the top that don't have a thing in here. So I'm going to start to clip all these together and then we'll go to the machine and start doing these in bulk. Okay, so I completed another one. So first remember I did this one and then I put my tag in the inside. Then I had the issue with the tags, did all that. We just came back from the sewing machine for sewing all of these together at the tops of both sides of the book sleeves. Then I figured out that I did want my tags on the back. So I centered them all on the back of each one of these pieces. And then I went to the sewing machine to sew them. So I sewed them all. I go, oh, I'm going really good. I'm getting a lot done. So I went to go sew the rest of it. Oh my gosh. And this, because I sewed it all the way through, how silly me, because I sewed the tag on all the way through from this. What I did not do was just take this piece, right, and sew it on there. Instead, I sewed it all the way through the outer fabric, the foam, and the lining. So guess what happens? So then you're gonna put, so how you put these together is super nice and easy, but not now because I made that big mistake. So what you do is you're gonna take it, you're gonna match your, let's see here, you're gonna match the, let's see, where am I at? Yeah, let me move this out of the way. So you're gonna take your, you're gonna lay this out. Either way, I'm just doing this because I'm filming so you can see the whole thing. But ordinarily I would do it like this, but I'm afraid you're not gonna be able to see everything if I do that. So then I look at this, let's push these away. I, one more time, will take it and see where there's a little, see, there's a little bit, I'm gonna come through here, sew this just a tiny bit more there to make this flat on this one. So let's get another one because that one's not a good example to use. All right, so here, let's look at this one. This one's good. All right, so now this one, so pocket's here. The pocket's gonna get sewn at the same time that the lining and the backs get, the right sides together get sewn. So then you take the part where your back is, right? And you make sure that this is sticking in there. And you're gonna lay this out and then you're gonna clip this, right? Now, ordinarily, you would also, look what I did. It doesn't go all the way because what I did there, what a silly mistake. So, I mean, you can still do it and I did it, but it's just a pain in the butt. So now what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna clip this end here. Make sure this is tight, straightened out there. It's just gonna take more time, which we don't want when we're trying to do assembly work, right? So I'm gonna clip that there, and then I have to take then you're gonna take your seams, of course, like I taught you in the last video, to do these sleeves. It's the same as if you had quilted sleeves. You're gonna pin that, and then when I go to sew though, see how I have to go and sew? I have to go, it's not gonna be as easy as just all the way around. So I'll do another video where we can do them all the way around. But right now I have to watch this, right? And then come around here, do the same thing over here. It's just another, it's like another step because see, here's the, see how it goes like this from the label? How dumb. So now I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna clip that there. So the foam side, because I already did this once, the foam side's gonna be super easy to do. And we're just gonna clip here. After you've sewn a few of these, you don't have to always be clipping so much. But this part you do, because now I'm going at an angle, see that? So I have to make sure that I got these nice and taut. It's just making it's just making this step difficult, that's all. And then clip down here, make sure this fits. There, I think I'm gonna do a little tighter there. Nope, you need one here. So you just have to really watch this piece here, right there, right where it angles up with the, lines up with the label. So stupid. So anyway, I can't get over it. That's just gonna take me a lot longer. You know, it's gonna add on time, which I don't have, but whatever. Then over here, you're gonna leave some open. Now, last time I left too little open. The one thing, you're gonna wanna leave more of this open than if you were using quilted batting, or if it was quilted, or just interfacing, because this foam is thick. So it's a little bit harder to pull through. So I would want to have it to be about, last time I had from here to here, I'm gonna want that much space. And we're gonna top stitch and you can't see it inside the bag anyway. So I am gonna go through and do all of these now, and then we will go over to the sewing machine. put in the, and this one has an elastic band that I've had. I ran out of the plain black ones. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put these all in a pile, finish them later. Do the finish, I'll sew them all first. Then I'll go and press them all, roll these all in. Then I'll come back over and take out this little piece here where we need to do the lining. And I'm gonna fold these, and I usually just finger press them. You can take it to the iron and iron them, but I tend to just finger press them really good and then top stitch that down. All right, so there you go. All right, I finally got the book sleeves done. Now, I just switched over to my phone. So I'm filming on my phone instead of on the iPad. So now my camera, because the way that I put my phone on the tripod is on this end over here. So if I start looking over there, it's because I'm getting used to filming on my iPad. So I'm not trying to not look at you. So just put it that way. I'm really trying to learn when to turn to the right, when to turn to the left to look into the camera lens. So anyway, and that changes all the time, right? I just got a new tripod, which I'm really excited about. I'll show you when I'm on a different filming, when I'm on my iPad or something else to film with. But it's really tall, which I really like, because what I was doing with my iPad was I was stacking books on top of my island in my workspace so that I could have my fabric in the back, and so that you could see me. If you lift this up, you can see all the fabric, but I'm not that tall. So I'm having it down just a little bit like that. So you have a good visual, and hopefully it's not crooked. What I really like about this system is that the phone thing, you know how you have to stretch the phone and stick your phone in? Well, I have a case, and I have a double case. I have a tough case. So it's thicker than a slim case. And so I always have to take my phone out of everything, off of the case and off of the shell, and then put it in. And it's a real pain. And it takes a while, and then I have to put it back on. Well, with this new tripod with the phone holder part, it opens over my case. I am so happy about that. Now I don't have to take that case out when I'm doing filming. Now, hopefully this will give me the reason I got it was to get a better view, to give you a better view of my sewing machine. So I'm hoping I can put it behind me somehow at a different angle, because I have little guys. A lot of people use the ones with the 3 sticks, little tiny baby tripods, desk tripods, and put it on the desk. And that's what I've been using to film, so that you can get a better angle of me sewing. Anyway, and then I have the overarm. You've seen that on my island. I use that when I'm trying to show things underneath the camera. Anyway, I just got that in. I unpacked that. Okay, so now it's been 2 days since we started this whole project of making the book sleeves the correct way, going through all the different dimensions and everything. And so I finally have my first set of the Halloween collection. I should call it my Fairy Core collection of Halloween, we'll just call them Halloween book sleeves. So I wanted to show them to you. So I have 7 of them. So here's 4 of them here, done. And then these will have books in them so that you can see the shape of them better. And then this one here. So here I have 7 book sleeves. They're considered large, and I'm going to show them to you. So they are 8 by 11, and I ended up going ahead and putting my label on the back. Now, some people might carry it around like this, with this being the front and then the sleeve being in the back and the latch being in the back. It doesn't matter. Whatever way you want to do it, it's right. So this has a elastic band and over a button closure, and it fits. So this is a book. This is a big book, thick book. Let me tell you how many pages it is. It's over 350 pages, and it fits in there. So it's a hardback, all right? So that book fits in there. So anything smaller than this is gonna fit really nicely in there. And in the inside, I have a plain black broadcloth lining. And then we have, of course, the sleeve on the outside here. And on my sleeves, I wanted to make them sturdier, so I used a grain ribbon there. Kind of like, like seam binding or something, but it's ribbon. So that's one of them. And we'll show the different sizes. So this fits nice and snug. There's still room in there, and there's still room this way. So you could put a Bible in here maybe. I'm not sure. All right, the next one is another one with a button and the same closure. This one is the one that we made together, and this has the label on the inside, and which is not a good place for it. So this book here is a paperback, and it has 250 pages. It's a paperback. I only read business books, by the way, so that's why you see all my, and Bibles. So I read my scriptures and my business books. So anyway, and self-healing books, things like that. So this one fits really nice, and you can fit more in there. And then it has the button closure. This also has a button closure, and same thing. Everything's the same kind of button, same kind of class. This one fits a dot journal. So I use the Scribbles dot journals. And this one's really full. This is, I just got one from like a couple years ago, whatever. It's already really full. You can see how fat it gets when I start adding things to it, like ephemera, photos, and things like that. So this fits really nice, and it slips right in there really nicely. Label on the back, and then the closure. Really like this one. Then this one here, I ran out of that black elastic, so I have this silvery, just like because the web, these spider webs have kind of like a glitter. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a tiny bit of a glitter, not a lot, just a little bit. Label on the back, but then I put this really pretty button there, and this is a really pretty elastic there. And then I had these just in my button stash, so beautiful button there. This one I put another book. If you own a business, if you're a small business owner, you need to read this, Profit First. Super good book. This one's a hardback. This one has less pages. This one has 200 pages. And it slides in here really nicely. So anything smaller than these books is gonna fit just fine. Now, according to the instructions on book sleeves, 8 inches by 11 inches is considered, or 9 by 11, 8 by 11 are considered large. And then you have the extra large over that. I would think that this is a medium to me because of the kind of books I read, right? This is another one that I did with the silvery elastic, and then another pretty button. And these two are the same as the others with the plain buttons, but I wanted to show you, this has the smallest book in it. So I just wanted to show you, see how nice it still holds up. And then I'll take the book out. And this is a teeny book. This is my gratitude journal, and it's really small. So probably a 6 by 8 or something. And I like the way that I like to have them with some room. So anyway, that's the 7 of those. Getting ready to do my, I don't think I can bring it over because I just put a bunch of stuff on top of it. Okay, well, I'll just show you a couple things. So I just got, so that took almost an entire package. I have 7 there for sale, but I made 8 because I made one for a granddaughter for her birthday. So these are the Soft and Stable. And this one is 36 by 58. These are expensive. They're $28 on Amazon. They're 23 or 24 on Annie's website. But on Annie's website, and she sells them on Amazon, so it doesn't really matter. She's still, getting the money pretty much. I guess, well, after the Amazon fees. But the one on our website, you have to pay shipping, and the one on Amazon gives you free shipping. So for me, it was cheaper to buy because I needed 2 of them. It was less for me to buy 2 of them on Amazon by about $5. Since I know I'm going to be making a whole bunch more, and I really love using this Soft and Stable. It's so much better than quilting. It's so much sturdier and it's so much firmer. I just feel like the quality is higher. At first, I didn't think it would be, but you can really feel the difference. And the one that I made for my granddaughter, here, I'll show you. So this is a quilted sleeve that I made for my granddaughter. This is like, would be considered an extra large. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just like, so, I should take a book out of one of these so you can see the difference, because it's not fair showing it with the book because that gives it more filler, right? So see the difference? I don't know if you can see on the camera, but if you see this, the thinness and the thick, look at that. It's really, look at that when you push them together. But this one is my next, these are the next ones. I got this from Marshall's Dry Goods. And so now the kitties, I'm getting ready to cut the kitties. That's going to be the next project. I might have only bought 2. I was hoping I bought 3. Well, whatever it is, if I only bought 2, I'm only going to get 8 sleeves. You get 4 sleeves per yard. Anyway, that's next on so that I can continue with the collection. Then we have the purple ones, and we have the bats, the black and white bats. Oh, and the skeletons. I got the little skeleton guys, and the purple witches and the black and white witches. So I'll have a collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choices. So it'll be a collection of, you can choose any one of the 6 that you want. Let's see what else. I'm going to show you the next videos we do. I'm going to show you my epic fails on my bookmarks. Oh my gosh. I thought, I'm going to make matching bookmarks. It's going to be so easy. No, it's not easy. I don't know why people have such an easy time of it. I don't know if they just make the videos and then they only show you when they can do it perfectly. But even with my guillotine, it's so hard I line it up and everything, and I'll still freaking miss where I need to cut. So I'll get like 2 that are perfect and then 2 that are not perfect. It's so annoying. And then I tried sewing some, and I got the wrong sizes. Now I have I watched another lady's video because I would love to use the scraps from these book sleeves to make cloth bookmarks, because that would just go so good with the book sleeve, right? That would just be really nice, especially if you did something like if you have the spider one and then you choose the witch's bookmarks, right? That would be so cool. All right, so the next thing is I went to buy, remember I was doing my granddaughter's bag? Remember that? Projects we were doing in the last couple of days. And I went on to Facebook and some bag groups and asked what I should do, because I was at a loss. Because remember, I had sewn with like sinew the leather belt into the side here. And I knew that was only a temporary fix. The more I looked at it, the more I knew that it would tear the lining and it would tear the fur. So somebody told me to use the webbing and then the metal buckle thingy, and then use, because she wanted this is her dad's belt, and she wanted to use, this is an old belt of her dad's, and she wanted that so bad from him, and she wanted to put it on something. So anyway, I had just sewn the end of the belt. Okay, so what I did was I took the webbing, I bought like 100 yards of webbing because I know I'll use it all. This is 1.5 inch, it was perfect size. I put this end of the buckle in there, and then I sewed it down here. I top stitched, I sewed all around. I went back and forth a bunch of times. And then I took this piece of the belt, lifted it over, and for the life of me, I could not make the stupid hole right here. And then the rivet was like, I was like, the rivet's too small. Like, how does it go through that much leather? Well, on the other side, I totally lucked out. I put the other side over the thing, and it had snaps right there already built in. And I thought, maybe they'll stick together. And sure enough, they did. And it's super strong. So I went to Amazon. I'm just going to show you. And I bought this big leather tool. I also bought this kit. And it has another kind of a tool in it, but I don't know. But this one here comes in a case. I put the case away. And it had like this sharp tool in it. And no matter what I did, no matter how hard I pushed, I could not get that hole through that leather belt. So I started thinking, even though everybody that worked with leather said they were leather workers, but maybe they don't do belts. And then I just couldn't find. So what I did was I got one of the long thing that goes in the inside first, and then a smaller one that went the other way, and snapped that in there. But I had to use pliers to do it. And I had to use all of that sharp little tool thing to make the hole. So I have a lot to learn about leather making. Jeez, I have a lot to learn about that. But anyway, turned out so nice. Let me take a step back. Look how cute. It's so cute. She loves it. She can't wait to use it. But I'm saving it for her birthday. Her birthday's also coming up. I have so many birthdays in the summer, but so many in August and September. I think almost so many. I myself have like 4 kids born in September. And then grandkids, gosh, just on and on. So that's that part. So we're done for right now. That's going to be the end of this video series of my vlog. And then we're going to start on another one. And I have some really cool hauls you need to watch. I found this vintage, oh my gosh, from the 60s. I can't remember the brand now. But it is a table cover that would make gorgeous, gorgeous tote bags and purses. But anyway, I digress. Let me just stop the video now. I am going to, and then when we get started on everything else, I also have another big Facebook marketplace, a whole bunch of pickups to do for denim and some fabric, I think. I think that's on my list. Or maybe it's a quilt. I can't remember. It might be a quilt or a quilt top. No, some fabric I have to get, but that fabric I don't get until the end of the month. Anyway, and then I want to show you what I got at my thrift haul, which was really cool. You're going to fall in love with some of those fabrics. And then all the fabrics that I got ordered in. So I have more that's coming from Marshall's Dry Goods. I ordered a bunch from Etsy that just came in. I ordered a bunch from Temu that just arrived today. So the Etsy fabric just arrived today and I'm in love. I'm so in love with it. And then the really cool Temu fabrics came in. I have a video on how to buy Temu fabric, so you definitely want to watch that, because you don't want to overpay, and a lot of this stuff is overpriced on Etsy. I mean on Etsy too, but on Temu and Etsy, a lot of times they'll advertise a price and it's half a yard. It's not a yard. So anyway, so you want to watch all that. I do have videos out on how to purchase fabric online. Make sure you watch that. And then I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.